My 34 wife, 37, is pissed because I bought and had lunch with a female coworker. Did I really do something wrong here? First of all, my workplace has 3 floors. One floor has an even-ish number of guys and girls. The other two have mainly women. This new girl, Alice, joined a few months ago. I didn't really know a whole lot about her, but we have hung out in a few Friday evening after work drinking sessions. Not a whole lot of interaction prior to that. We just chat on occasion when we see each other at work, or if she has to come to the floor I work on, or I have to go down there. She's unaware I'm married. They met briefly at a company event shortly after Alice started working here. This was when I really first got introduced to her. Hell, most everyone here knows I'm married. 2 pictures on my desk are of my family. Anyway, the other day I was heading to lunch when Alice asked me to grab some lunch with her because she needed some advice. I said no problem. We went to lunch. There's a food court a couple buildings away, so we went there and I paid for both of us to grab some Thai food. We chatted for a while and then she began asking for advice, which was the purpose of grabbing lunch together. She has a boyfriend. He's into fishing and hiking and rock climbing, that sort of thing. So am I. It's something my brothers and I, as well as our sister, grew up doing. One of the girls on her floor mentioned that I'm into these things and she should ask me because she wanted advice about what kinds of gear to buy for him for his birthday. She wanted to buy him a compilation of equipment, some fishing gear, some hiking, some climbing. So we chatted for a while about that. And on her phone, I showed her some supplies she could pick up for him and told her if she needed more help, just ask. Then we went back to work and that was that. So I came home and forgot all about it. I played with the kids, watched television for a bit, washed the dishes, and that was it. It wasn't really something significant for me, so I didn't mention it. 2 days later, my wife, Karen, asks me where I was for lunch that day. So I told her, grabbing lunch with a coworker. She's angry, and I'm pretty surprised as to why. I just told her Alice and I grabbed lunch. She wanted some help picking out presents for her boyfriend who has similar interests that I also have. Told her I bought lunch, we chatted, I showed her some stuff she could buy on her phone, and then we went back to work. I might as well have dug my own grave saying that. She's been absolutely furious the past couple of days, throwing scathing comments and that sort of thing. I'm pretty hurt. I don't see what I did wrong. Maybe not telling her immediately was wrong, I guess, but I didn't do anything with ill intent toward her or our marriage, so it just didn't bother me. It also didn't help that her friend saw us at the food court eating lunch, which was who she heard it from. Now, the thing about Alice, she's younger than Karen by 11 years and is a typically attractive girl, perky and fairly cheerful. Quite a few guys hit on her when we're at those after work drinking sessions. So I guess this is a factor because on Saturday, when I asked my wife if she wanted to grab some dinner, I got a very sullen, maybe you should get lunch with Alice in response. Another time, she did mention, maybe you just want a younger woman or something. I don't. I love my wife. I love my marriage. I'm a faithful man. I don't think what I did was wrong. I get her hearing it from her friend might have made it sound much worse than it really was. Yes, Alice is attractive and younger, but that doesn't matter to me. However, it seems to bother my wife a lot. Was I really wrong here? How can I address this situation?
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
I don't think he was wrong at all. Especially because my boyfriend works in a corporate office with boys and girls. Like on his team, he has a really small team, but the company is like super big, but he has like 2 girls and then a boy or 2 girls, a boy, and then his boss is also a boy. Not me saying girls and boys. But he would go to lunch, like I'm pretty sure he's been to lunch with both of his female coworkers by themselves before. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't, it's like, yeah, those are your coworkers. Of course you're going to go to lunch with them. And like, of course, I don't know. It's like also networking. Like you want to get to know people at your company. You want to be friendly with people at your company. I mean, I think that's a pretty normal thing to do. Like it doesn't really bother me at all. I much like I encourage that as well because it's like, yeah, you should be, you know, like, you know what I don't know. What am I saying? Like you should be like nice to women, basically. Like, yeah, I'm encouraging you to like go hang out with your coworkers, and if those happen to be women, like, I hope you're being nice and respectful and like giving them some hope in like the male species, that like, oh, males can actually be nice. And I know that that is like my boyfriend is like so nice, so I'm sure the girls are like very appreciative of him because he's so sweet and so respectful. So I think maybe it's like, I get her being insecure because that's not really something she can control, but it's definitely something she can work on. And I feel like that is going to be like a huge thing that she's going to need to figure out, because insecurity is hard to deal with in a relationship. It's really hard. And like, it's not to say I never get insecure in my relationship, but your husband is, it's not like he's going on, like he went on a date with some other girl. Like he grabbed lunch like at his work and with a coworker, and like, I don't know. I just don't see. I think it's because I am in a similar situation, so I don't really see like a problem with it, but maybe someone who's not used to that would. Okay, OP responded to a deleted comment and said, "Yep, first time. I've been thinking that too. Maybe she feels she's getting older, has had a couple of kids, feels threatened or something. She has no reason to be, but if that's what she's feeling, I would understand. I mean, if my wife suddenly had a younger hot guy friend, I might be quite envious / annoyed, but I wouldn't really be angry unless she was actively going out of her way to talk to this guy and things like that. If she was just giving someone advice for their own relationship, there's no problem there. Alice and I don't even speak a whole lot beyond the occasional hey at work when we see each other. I doubt it's the us not grabbing lunch thing. We work at least half hour away from each other, so having lunch together is kind of a chore where we have to plan stuff and leave work 15 minutes earlier, that kind of thing. We do it once a month or so, though. 2 days later, my wife, Karen, asks me where I was for lunch that day. Did you ask her why she was asking? It seems a bit odd to ask you days later. I personally don't think you did anything wrong. I imagine you would have told her if she asked you that evening how your day was. But I wonder if a friend or a colleague of hers saw you two together, gave her a heads up, and she's embarrassed for one reason or another. OP said, yeah, a friend of hers did see us and mentioned it to her when she saw her a few days later. I don't think she's embarrassed, but angry. I have a feeling the coworker was also implying things, because like, you don't just go out of your way to say, hey, I saw your husband grabbing lunch with a girl at work. You don't just say that for like no reason. So I have a feeling she probably felt a little like some type of way because of the way that it was told to her. Because I think if my friend said that, I would be like, okay, and like, nice. I'm sure you're like, I don't need to know everything he does at work. I don't need to know everything my boyfriend does at work. Like, I don't need to know every day who he's having lunch with. I actually couldn't care less, unless he wants like me to know, like unless he's telling me and he wants me to know. Like, I obviously care how his day went and stuff, but like, I don't, little small tiny details like that, like oh my god, who are you going to eat lunch with? I don't care. Have fun. Go eat lunch with whoever you want. Okay, edits from main post. Edit 1, since this is apparently so important. Yes, I paid for my coworker's lunch. I did it to break an $100 bill, and she did in fact repay me immediately afterward. I didn't include this because where I'm from, it's pretty common for one person to pay for everyone's food if everyone is buying from the same place, and then everyone else just reimburses the cash afterwards. I hope this clears stuff up a little. I didn't think it would be such a huge issue. Edit 2, also, yes, I have had lunch with coworkers before, sometimes in groups, sometimes just one-on-one, sometimes they're with guys, and sometimes they're with female coworkers. This has never been an issue before, which is also why I didn't mention it. It wasn't important, and it's not something that's bothered my wife before. Just thought I'd put that in as well. I think that definitely makes a difference that she never cared before, but now she all of a sudden cares. And maybe it's because, see, that's why I need to know, like, what did this friend actually say to her? Because that's what it's sounding like. Because if she never really cared before, then why is she all of a sudden caring now? Okay, final update 2 weeks later. So it's been a few days since everything happened, and Karen and I have talked things out. One of the first things I asked was why she got so angry about me having lunch with my coworker. The OP and its responses pretty much gave me a solid idea, but I wanted to hear it from her. At first, she said she didn't know, but after a while of not saying anything, she admitted that she'd been having a hard time at work lately, and given that we'd both been busy and hearing from her friend that she saw me with some young hot girl laughing at lunch made her feel like shit. She admitted that she got really insecure and afraid at the thought of me carrying on with a coworker, and the fact that she was younger and that her friend described Alice as hot all didn't help. She said that having kids, plus a hard time at work, plus gaining a few pounds, nothing significant at all, made her feel threatened at the thought of someone younger who hadn't been through all of that. She said she should have known I'd never do something like that, and that never once in our marriage had I ever given her a reason to think that. I told her once again the reason why Alice and I had lunch that day, and even showed her some of the stuff I showed Alice to purchase for her significant other. It didn't exactly go back to normal ASAP, but she did apologize for lashing out and not giving me an opportunity to explain myself, as well as not trusting me. Since then, we've had a couple of date nights the past 5 days, left the kids with the sitter, had some dinner, etc., etc. With a winky face. All in all, things are back to normal and are better than ever before. In other news, Alice mentioned that her boyfriend loves the gear I suggested that she buy for him. Ugh, Willow, you're actually being so ridiculous right now. I understand. I get why she was like upset. That's why I knew that it was the instigator. Like I knew that friend was being such an instigator, saying that she was like young and hot and stuff. Like there's no reason that she needed to say that. That's like so rude, honestly, because you know that she did that on purpose. Like, oh yeah, she was young and hot, and like they were laughing, insinuating that like he probably likes this girl because she's hot and young, and they were laughing together at lunch. Like that's a little ridiculous. I'd be so mad at my friend if they did that. If like what the hell? And that bothers me. Having you, she's on my lap right now and she's just literally in my way. Okay, Will, if you're gonna be here, you have to take a nap. Okay, someone said, by the way, your wife's friend sounds to me like a catty bitch. I would never say your significant other was out with a young hot chick. I would say, oh, by the way, I saw your significant other at lunch yesterday, and then slowly introduce it to prevent automatic suspicion. Part of this was caused by her being a bad friend. Yes, agreed. I'm glad this worked out and that your wife was able to recognize and verbalize that your actions were innocent and matched against her insecurities. Good on you for practicing patience. Maybe have coworker and her man over for a barbecue, beach, or lake day. There's a possibility wife and coworker could become friends and then everyone wins. Okay. Yeah, I love that suggestion, but like I don't need to be friends with every single female coworker that my boyfriend or husband works with, in my opinion. And then the top comment says, so OP didn't actually pay for the coworker, and I agree that the person who called the friend catty that approach was shit stirring. Yeah, I'm wondering why did he have to say he paid for the lunch? Like it made it sound like it's fine if he paid for the lunch, but like why did he say that if he didn't actually pay for the lunch? Like you paid for it and then she paid you back, so you didn't pay for it. It makes not a lot of sense. Someone said he said in one of the comments way after the fact that she paid him back, and then someone responded to that and said, so why is he dumb enough to tell his wife he paid if she was always going to pay him back? I'm with the person that said OP is oblivious. Yeah, I'm wondering, like, I'm so confused. Someone said, like OP said several times, it's just the way people do things where he is. They don't generally split bills. One person pays and the other pays back at some point, in this case, immediately. I've worked at a few places with similar office culture. Not sure who started it or when, but when several of us would go out to lunch together, one person pays and the other gets them back. The others get them back later. If it's not an unusual thing to do where OP is, then I can see why he wouldn't think to mention it. I just think it's an unnecessary detail to provide, to be honest. I mean, that doesn't even matter. It's really not that big of a deal, but it's just kind of unnecessary to be like, oh yeah, and I paid for the lunch. But then she paid me back. So you didn't pay for the lunch. What the hell? Like, I don't know why that's bothering me. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.